What if I told you that a Nigerian state was literally created not because of population, not because of geography, but because two kings refused to sit in the same room and share power? And what if I told you, at a coronation ceremony in front of dignitaries and cameras, one of the most powerful kings in Nigeria publicly corrected the other on the history of a town that the corrected king was claiming belonged to him? Long before Nigeria had a constitution, the Yoruba had two thrones, and for nearly 1,000 years, those two thrones have been locked in one of the most sophisticated, most layered, and most consequential power rivalries in all of African history. Today, we are counting down the 10 most historically influential power struggles between the Ooni of Ife and the Alaafin of Oyo. These are not just palace dramas. These are the events that shaped a nation. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. Now let's dive in. Number 10 is the sacred oath and its breaking, and it happened in 1795. When any new Alaafin was about to be installed, he was required to take a solemn oath never to attack the territory of Ile-Ife. Alaafin Awolowo ignored that oath entirely. As personal revenge against the people of Apomo, a market town on Ife soil, he ordered his army to attack and sack it. Generals obeyed. This was the beginning of Awolowo's downfall. Coming in at number 9 is the Ife-Modakeke War, and it began in 1835 and did not fully end until the year 2000. When the Fulani Jihad drove old Oyo into collapse, waves of Oyo refugees flooded southward into Ile-Ife. In an act of generosity, gave them land just outside the city walls. They named their settlement Modakeke. Within years, Modakeke had grown into a town with its own identity. From 1849, what followed was a cycle of warfare, uneasy peace, renewed warfare, and displacement that stretched across 6 Ooni reigns and 165 years. At number 8 is the British Treaty, which began in 1888 and was not resolved until 1903. When the British colonial officers arrived, they were dazzled by Oyo's military legacy. They recognized the Alaafin as the superior head of the Yoruba nation in their early treaties. The Ooni's camp erupted. For the next 15 years, the two thrones lobbied the colonial government through letters, delegations, and competing historical arguments. The resolution came in the Government Gazette of the 28th of February 1903, which formally recorded the Ooni's primacy. At the first Council of Obas meeting that held in 1934, it was the Ooni who chaired the assembly, not the Alaafin. But the Alaafin never fully accepted the outcome, and his palace continued to contest it quietly for decades. At number 7 is the sword and the calabash, and this is arguably the deepest wound in the entire rivalry because it is not a single event. It is a permanent condition. Since the earliest era of Oyo kingship, a new Alaafin could not assume full royal authority until two sacred objects arrived from Ile-Ife. The first was the Hida Orion, the consecrated sword of justice handed down from Oramian himself. The second was the Iba Iwa, the calabash of existence, a set of covered calabash bowls. One spells tranquility while the other spells doom. Without the sword placed in his hands and the calabash set before him, the Alaafin had no authority to order an execution and no supreme judicial power. He was a king without teeth. The argument over whether this ritual makes the Ooni the kingmaker over Oyo has never been settled. it simply continued. At number 6 is Awolowo's Gambit, which played out between 1945 and 1960. Chief Obafemi Awolowo, one of the most calculating political minds Yorùbáland has ever produced, founded the Yoruba national movement in 1945. He built his pan-Yoruba political movement deliberately on the mythology of Ile-Ife and the legacy of Oduduwa, making the Ooni the symbolic father of all Yoruba people. He then pioneered the University of Ife, made the Ooni the figurehead of the Western region, and anchored Yoruba identity in Ife's creation narrative. The Alaafin and Oyo, watched as their own version of Yoruba history, was quietly edited out of the dominant political story. Number 5 is the Chairmanship War and the birth of Osun State. And this one is extraordinary because a modern Nigerian state exists today because of it. When Ooni Sijuwade was appointed permanent chairman of the old Oyo State Council of Obas and Chiefs, Alaafin Lamidi Adeyemi refused to accept it. He reportedly pulled the king of Ibadan and Ogbomoso into open protest alongside him. The Ooni responded by boycotting council meetings. The institution was paralyzed. For years, the Oyo State Council of Obas could not function as a united body. The Babangida military administration looked at this royal deadlock and made a decision that would reshape the map of Nigeria. 27th of August 1991, Osun State was carved out of the old Oyo State. Ile-Ife and its towns fell into the new Osun State. The Ooni became chairman of the Osun State Council of Obas. The Alaafin inherited the remainder and became chairman of the Oyo State Council. A state was created to end a feud. Number 4 is the Ikimi title war of 1991. Ooni Sijuwade announced that he intended to confer the title of Akerogun of Yorùbáland on Chief Tom Ikimi, then chairman of the National Republican Convention. Alaafin Adeyemi issued a public letter telling Ikimi directly not to act, describing the title as spurious and without authority. The Oyo State military governor stepped in and stopped Ooni from conferring the Akerogun of Yorùbáland. The title ceremony went ahead anyway, and Tom Ikimi became the Akerogun of Ife. Source. Taking the bronze medal at number 2 is the Timi of Ede Coronation clash in 2008. At the installation of Oba Munirudin Adesola Lawal as the 13th Timi of Ede, with the regnal name Laminisa I, Ooni Okunede Sijuwade rose before the gathering and made a historical claim about Ede's ruling house. He stated that the new Timi was not the first from the Laminisa house to occupy the throne. His account positioned Ife as the custodian of Ede's royal history. Alaafin Lamidi Adeyemi, seated at the same ceremony, publicly corrected him. Precisely, and with the quiet confidence of a man who knows exactly what he is talking about. Because Ede is an Oyo town, the Timi of Ede has historically been installed under the authority of the Alaafin, not the Ooni. The Ooni's attempts to plant Ife's flag in Ede's royal narrative in front of cameras and dignitaries was answered by the Alaafin in real time. The room understood exactly what had just happened. 2 thrones, 1 ceremony, 0 diplomacy. Number 2 is the Coronation Snub. It began in March 2025 at the Oyotunji African Village in Beaufort County, South Carolina, where a leadership vacuum had opened following the murder of its king, Oba Adejuyigbe Adefumi II, in July 2024. the Ooni sent a delegation to perform traditional rites and assert Ife's authority over this Yoruba diaspora community. The Alaafin scam felt bypassed and disrespected. A certain man whose title is father of Oyotunji King, Baba Oba, was in Nigeria shortly after and went to the Oyoka Palace. He was allegedly beaten and arrested for involving Ife and not Oyo in the whole coronation process. Few days after, the man was allegedly sick and died after the face-off. And finally, at number 1 is the Okanlomo Ultimatum. In August 2025, the Ooni conferred the title of Okanlomo of Yorùbáland on Ibadan businessman Chief Dotun Sanusi. The Alaafin issued a 48-hour ultimatum demanding the title be revoked, calling it an infringement on his authority. In the ultimatum, the Alaafin reiterates that he's the only one that has the power to confer the title that captures the whole of Yorubaland on someone not the Ooni. The Ooni kept silent, but the conferment went on as planned. Chief Dotun Sanusi became the Okanlomo of Odua instead of Okanlomo of Yorubaland. And there you have it. The 10 most historically influential power struggles between the Ooni of Ife and the Alaafin of Oyo. It is the longest resonant conversation in Yoruba history. Which clash hits you the hardest? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this video deepened your understanding of Yoruba kingship, please like, share, and subscribe to Top 10 Yoruba. See you next time.